As the last known surviving member of the Baratheon bloodline, everybody's favorite blacksmith Gendry has the potential to finish Game of Thrones in a far better position than he started. Today, we're going to take a look at his most recent scenes in Season 7 and speculate on where his history will end in Season 8. Prior to Season 7, the last time we had seen Gendry was the final episode of Season 3 when Sir Davos Seaworth rescued him from Stannis' dungeons and sent him back to King's Landing in a small boat. Much of Gendry's show storyline comes from that of a different minor character in the books, Edric Storm, so we had no book information to go by when wondering what happened to him after he left Dragonstone. His uncertain fate caused much speculation among fans, and of course a lot of jokes, including from the actor Joe Dempsey himself when he tweeted he was still rolling back in June 2014. However, it just took over 3 years after this for us to finally see him back on screens in Season 7, Episode 5. When Sir Davos smuggles Tyrion Lannister into King's Landing, rather than waiting at the beach, he goes walking through the city streets. He visits the Street of Steel and happens upon Gendry working in a forge making weapons for the Lannister army. He was obviously looking for him, saying to him that he wasn't sure if he'd find him as he might have still been rowing. One of the funnier moments in the season. This was a brilliant line from Davos and definitely included as fan service, but fitting well with the dialogue between them during the scene. When Davos tells him that bad things are coming, Gendry immediately guesses that Davos is there to get him and needs no persuasion or explanation to agree. He already has his bag packed as he's been preparing for a long time, knowing deep down that he would be needed for something important. However, he declines Davos' suggestion of bringing a sword along, proudly showing him a large intimidating warhammer decorated with the stag's head and a nod to the stag's sigil of House Baratheon. Back on the beach, Gendry nervously plays along with the Gold Cloak's approach, and Davos attempts to bribe them. They seem to be successful and the guards begin to leave. However, just at this moment, Tyrion Lannister returns to the boat and is recognized. Before the situation can escalate, Gendry grabs his warhammer and quickly dispatches both of the Gold Cloaks, and the trio rapidly depart. Upon their arrival at Dragonstone, Davos gives Gendry a cover story so that he can briefly meet Jon Snow, then head for Winterfell to work in the forges. Rather than sticking to his plan, Gendry immediately tells Jon who he really is, and the two briefly discuss their fathers. Gendry tells Jon and Davos that he can't wait out this war and offers to join the expedition beyond the wall. It's pretty awesome when Davos vouches for him, and Jon agrees that they could use the help, and they all depart for Eastwatch. The team of Gendry, Jorah, and Davos join Jon in a discussion with Tormund, and Jon says that he didn't bring enough men, and Jorah asks Tormund if some of his men will join them. Tormund takes them to the cells to meet the others who want to go beyond the wall. Of course, Gendry steps forward advising Jon not to trust them, and the last thing their lord told them to do was sell him to a Red Witch to be murdered. Of course, Jon decides that they are all on the same side, so along with Tormund and a few other wildlings, they all set off into the north beyond the wall. Jon asks Gendry if he's ever been north before, and he tells him he's never seen the snow. When Jon says there are no women around for miles, Tormund quips that they have to make do with what they have, staring suggestively at Gendry, who doesn't get the joke and deliberately falls back to walk with some of the others. Thoros asks if he is still mad with them, and he complains about their actions. Beric tries to justify it with the fact that wars cost more money, but Gendry continues to complain until the Hound berates him for whinging, which is one of my all-time favorite words, as he obviously survived the experience. Of course, Gendry stops and grudgingly accepts a drink from Thoros, and no more is said on the matter. The group continue their journey and find themselves in a blizzard when they spot a bear in the distance, and they realize something is very, very wrong when Gendry asks if bears have blue eyes. The white bear attacks the group and seriously injures Thoros before Jorah kills it, and surprisingly, Gendry is the first to run forward to help Thoros, swiftly followed by Beric, and the two tend to his wounds together. When the party ambushes a group of whites, Gendry is able to hold his own against them using his warhammer, killing at least one before Jon dispatches the White Walker and all but one of the whites drop dead. The group surrounds the remaining white, and Gendry assists the captured by holding down the creature's legs while they restrain it. As they are doing this, Jon notices a huge snowstorm rapidly engulfing the horizon, indicating that the army of the dead is approaching. He tells Gendry to run back to Eastwatch and send a raven to Daenerys for help. He doesn't want to leave, but Jon says he is the fastest, so he must go. He's reluctant to give up his hammer to Tormund, so it doesn't slow him down, and he starts running while the rest of the group head in the opposite direction for their confrontation with the Night King's army. And of course, the Hound gets the hammer. Gendry runs back the way they came from with the difficult terrain, pausing only when he reaches the crest of the hill and finally sees the wall in the distance. He keeps going until he falls down in the snow and is unable to get back up. Luckily, when this happens, he is right outside the gate at Eastwatch, and Sir Davos and some of the men rush out to him, and he tells them that they've got to send a raven, and Davos shouts urgently for the maester. This is where we leave Gendry in Season 7, as he does not join the group that heads to King's Landing with the White. He is believed to be on his way to Winterfell with Jon and Daenerys for the beginning of Season 8, and what happens next is open to opinion. When Gendry arrives at Winterfell, a reunion with Arya will be highly anticipated. They haven't seen each other since Season 3, and Arya doesn't even know that he survived Melisandre. I expect this to be a very touching scene, as the two really bonded despite their vastly opposing upbringings and social standing. This could go a long way in bringing Arya back from her cold assassin persona, and many believe there is a possibility that a romance will build between them. The scene where Arya tells him that she can be his family, he replies that she would be Milady. So could Arya really become his lady in the end of Game of Thrones Season 8? One of the most widely held fan theories is that Gendry will be legitimized as a true Baratheon and become the new Lord of Storm's End. And Jon is aware of Gendry's parentage and has no reason to doubt him, so if they both survive, I can definitely see that as a possibility. Obviously, if he is legitimized, continuing the Baratheon lineage will be a high priority, and for this, he is going to need a wife. And I know many of you fans hope to see Gendry and Arya together, but I also think that Sansa could be a candidate as well. All the way back in the very first episode of Season 1, King Robert says to Ned Stark, "I have a son and you have a daughter. We'll join our houses." Perhaps a foreshadowing that Sansa will eventually become a Lady Baratheon. After all that she has been through in the show, finally finding her knight in shining armor to settle down would be a great ending for her, and Arya would still get to be Gendry's family as his sister. I always saw their relationship as more of a platonic sibling type of bond, so I feel that this would be a great conclusion for them. If he is legitimized, he could also have a claim for the Iron Throne, not only as a Baratheon, but also with some Targaryen heritage, as Robert Baratheon's grandmother was Princess Rhaelle Targaryen, the youngest daughter of King Aegon V. If both Jon and Daenerys were to perish in the War for the Dawn, maybe we could see another Baratheon on the throne, perhaps even with Sansa at his side as queen as she aspired to be. Gendry is very keen to support Jon and fight in the war against the others. While he is skilled with his warhammer, his skills with the blacksmith's hammer are even better and could prove more useful to the cause than having him as just another fighter. We gotta remember that Gendry trained under Tobo Mont, a master armorer from Qohor, and the Qohori are the only people who know how to reforge Valyrian steel. So it was Tobo who reforged the Stark sword Ice into Widow's Wail and Oathkeeper for Lord Tywin Lannister. Although this was in Season 4, long after Gendry had left King's Landing, it is possible that he learned this skill during his apprenticeship. And Valyrian steel is one of the two things that we know that can kill the White Walkers, so its use is likely to be key in the battle against the Night King and his army. At the present, there is nobody to wield Heartsbane, the ancestral Valyrian steel blade of House Tarly, so it's possible that this sword could be reforged into smaller swords or daggers, or perhaps even spear tips or arrowheads in order to maximize the use of the important weapon against the others. We also know that Dragonglass is effective against them, and it may take a highly skilled armorer like Gendry to be able to make it usable into weapons for Jon and Daenerys' army. Another theory that has gained popularity is the idea that Samwell Tarly may actually find the recipe for making new Valyrian steel in one of the books he took from the Citadel. It's strongly suspected that this will involve the use of dragonfire, which is why the process was lost after the Doom of Valyria. But with Daenerys and Gendry expected to arrive at Winterfell in Season 8, the key elements of the instruction, the dragonfire, and the skilled smith will hopefully come together. Whatever Season 8 does have in store in Gendry, with him being one of the cripples, bastards, and broken things, I do expect him to survive until the end. But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section, and let's get hype. If you enjoyed this video, you should consider becoming a member of the Legion of Hype and the Lightbringers and subscribing to the channel. We have a wide variety of Game of Thrones videos, ranging from videos like this one, the one you watched today, to live streams, to podcasts, and fun hangouts as well. So make sure you hit that notification bell and that subscribe button if you do want daily access to these videos. Also, if you would like to support the channel and become a Patronite, a member of the Legion of Hype, you should check out Patreon. I have early access to my videos, special bonus giveaways, and a lot more coming. And also a big thank you to all of you who have donated to Con of Thrones 2018 GoFundMe. We are officially 21 days away. That's right, only 3 weeks until I land in Dallas, Texas, to do an epic video log of all the panels, interviews with the actors and actresses, and more. The links to my Patreon, GoFundMe, and Twitter are in the description of this video. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Hype and love.
Wasn't sure I'd find you. Thought you might still be rowing.